Today is a very auspicious day, Indira EKADASI. Devotees, they observe every EKADASI for the satisfaction of Krishna under the guidance of scriptures and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by giving up all enjoyments, by giving up all sinful activities, by fasting according to one's qualification or capacity, and with all good qualities to remain near Krishna. That is possible through service. And best is to chant his name without offenses for his satisfaction, as shown by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his devotees from early morning, whole day, whole night. They were doing congregational chanting, not eating, sleeping, and drinking. And then breaking fast next day. And we are hearing SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. Yesterday we heard, Karda Muni continued, what is the use of enjoyments other than the Lord's grace? Devotees, they enjoy Lord's grace, means they are getting happiness from His grace. His grace means opportunity of service. Through serving Him, they are getting transcendental bliss. They are not interested in any other kinds of enjoyments. All material achievements are subject to be annihilated simply by a movement of the eyebrows of Lord Vishnu. That is, time takes everything away. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. By your principles of devotion to your husband, you have achieved and can enjoy transcendental gifts very rarely obtained by persons proud of aristocracy and material possessions. Because Devahuti was serving him so nicely, he blessed her. You can have all transcendental achievements which I got, I'm giving to you. And those who are proud of their high birth or material possessions, either beauty or education or money or anything, they are unable to get that. Evam Bruvanam Abalakhila Jogamaya Vidya Vichakshanam Aveksha Gatadir Asit Samprashraya Pranaya Vihvalaya Gireshat Vrira Valoka Vilasat Dasita Na Naha. If one performs devotional service to Krishna on EKADASI, then he will get million times more benefit. So devotees, they are very happy when EKADASI comes, because they can serve Krishna more, and it will be more effective in increasing their devotion to Krishna and in getting realization of Krishna and being detached from all other things other than the service of Krishna. Upon hearing the speaking of her husband, who excelled in knowledge of all kinds of transcendental science, innocent Devahuti was very satisfied. Her smiling face shining with a slightly bashful glance, she spoke in a choked voice because of great humility and love. Devahutir Uvach Radham Bata Dvija Vrishaitat Amoga Yoga Mayadhipe Tvai Vibho Tat Avaimi Bharta Yaste Vyadhai Samaya Sakrit Angasango Bhuyat gariyasi gunah prasava satinam. Shri Devahuti said, "My dear husband, O best of Brahmanas, I know that you have achieved perfection and are the master of all the infallible mystic powers because you are under the protection of Yogamaya, the transcendental nature. But you once made a promise that our bodily union should now fulfill. Since children are a great quality for a chaste woman who has a glorious husband." Here I think one word is, but you once made a promise that our bodily union should now fulfill, since children are a great quality for a chaste woman who has a glorious husband. Tatreti krityam upashiksha yatopadesham yanaisha me karshito tiri ram sayatma siddhetate krita manobhava darshitaya dinastatisha bhavanam sadrisham chaksha. Already Kardam Rishi promised to Supreme Lord that he will remain with Devahuti until her pregnancy. So she reminded him now. Devahuti continued, "My dear Lord, I am struck by excited emotion for you. Therefore, kindly make what arrangements must be made according to the scriptures, so that my skinny body, emaciated through unsatisfied passion, may be rendered fit for you. Also, my Lord, please think of a suitable house for this purpose." She became skinny and messy because of serving him so much. Maitreya Uvach. Priyayah priyam anvichan kardamo yogam astita vimanam kamagam kshatas tarhyeva virachikarat. Maitreya continued, "O Vidur, seeking to please his beloved wife, the sage Kardam exercised his yogic power and instantly produced an aerial mansion that could travel at his will. Not only airplane, but in the sky, flying mansion, means house." Sarva kama dugham divyam sarvaratna samanvitam sarvardhi upachayo darkam manistamber upaskritam. It was a wonderful structure, bedecked with all sorts of jewels, adorned with pillars of precious stones, and capable of yielding whatever one desired. It was equipped with every form of furniture and wealth, which tended to increase in the course of time. Here is Sai Maharshi, castle in the air. Huge castle in the air. Divyopakara sarvakala sukhavaham patakabir vichitrabir alankritam sragbir vichitramalyabhir Manju Shinjat Sat Angribhi Dukula Kshoma Kousheyer Nana Vastrer Virajitam. The castle was fully equipped with all necessary paraphernalia, and it was pleasing in all seasons. It was decorated all around with flags, festoons, and artistic work of variegated colors. It was further embellished with wreaths of charming flowers that attracted sweetly humming bees, and with tapestries of linen, silk, and various other fabrics. Upari vinyasta nilayeshu pritak kshipteih kashipubih kantam paryanka vyajana sanai. The palace looked charming, with beds, couches, fans, and seats, all separately arranged in 7 stories. Not only 1 story, 7. Tatra vinikshipta nana shilpopa shobhitam maha marakata jushtam vidruma vedibih. Its beauty was enhanced by artistic engravings here and there on the walls. The floor was of emerald with coral dioceses. And this was not by money, because he was very poor, Kardam Rishi. He was living in a cottage. But by his yogic power, he made all this. No money required. Dvahsu vidruma dehalya bhatam vajra kapatavat shikareshu indranileshu hema kumbeir adhishritam. The palace was very beautiful, with its coral thresholds at the entrances and its doors bedecked with diamonds. Gold pinnacles crowned its domes of sapphire. Chakshushmat padma ragagriyair vajra bitishu nirmitei jushtam vichitra vitaranair maharheir hema Torah nei. With the choicest rubies set in its diamond walls, it appeared as though possessed of eyes. It was furnished with wonderful canopies and greatly valuable gates of gold. Hangsa paravata vratais tatra nikunjitam. Kritriman manya manaih svan adhiruhya cha. Here and there in that palace were multitudes of live swans and pigeons, as well as artificial swans and pigeons so lifelike that the real swans rose above them again and again, thinking them live birds like themselves. Thus the palace vibrated with the sounds of these birds. Vihara stana vishrama samvesha pranga najire yato pajosham rachiteir vismapanam ivatmanah. The castle had pleasure grounds, resting chambers, bedrooms, and inner and outer yards, designed with an eye to comfort. All this cost astonishment to the sage himself. Yes, here Sai Maharaj is telling, Karda Muni, being a saintly person, was living in a humble hermitage. But when he saw the palace constructed by his yogic powers, which was full of resting rooms, rooms for sex enjoyment, and inner and outer yards, he himself was astonished. That is the way of a God-gifted person. A devotee like Karda Muni exhibited such opulence by his yogic power at the request of his wife, but when the opulence was produced, he himself could not understand how such manifestations could be possible. When a yogi's power is exhibited, the yogi himself is sometimes astonished. Like Sai Maharaj was also astonished when he was preaching in Western countries, being fully surrendered to his Gurudev, and he saw how things are going on and how much men are coming to be devoted to Krishna, and so much money and temples constructed and so many things going on for the service of Krishna. He himself was astonished how this is possible. It is all by the grace of Gurudev. Idrik griham tat pashyantim nati pritena chetasa sarva bhutashaya vigyah pravochat kardamah swayam. When he saw Devahuti looking at the gigantic, opulent palace with a displeased heart, Karda Muni could understand her feelings because he could study the heart of anyone. Thus he personally addressed his wife as follows. Nima jasmin hrade bhiru vimanam idam aruha idam shukla kritam tirtam ashisham yapakam nrinam. My dear Devahuti, you look very much afraid. First bath in Lake Bindu Sarovar, created by Lord Vishnu himself, which can grant all the desires of a human being, and then mount this airplane. Sa tat bhartuh samadaya vachah kuvalayekshana sarajam bibrati vaso veni bhutamscha murdha jan. The lotus-eyed Devahuti accepted the order of her husband. Because of her dirty dress and the locks of matted hair on her head, she did not look very attractive. Angam cha malapankena sanchanam shabalastanam avivesha saraswatya sarah shiva jalashayam. Her body was coated with a thick layer of dirt, and her breasts were discolored. She dove, however, into the lake, which contained the sacred waters of the Saraswati. Santah Sarasi Veshmastah Shatani Dasha Kanyaka Sarva Kishora Vayaso Dadarshot Palagandaya. In a house inside the lake, she saw 1,000 girls, all in the prime of youth and fragrant like lotuses. Tam drishtva sahasotaya prochuh pranjalaya striya vayam karma karistubhyam shadi nah karavama kim. Seeing her, the damsels suddenly rose and said with folded hands, "We are your maidservants. Tell us what we can do for you." Here in commentary, while Devahuti was thinking of what to do in that great palace in her dirty clothes, there were at once, by the yogic powers of Kardamuni, 1,000 maidservants prepared to serve her. They appeared before Devahuti within the water and presented themselves as her maidservants, simply awaiting her orders. Snanena tam maharhena snapayitva manasvinim dukule nirmale nutne dadur ase cha manadah. The girls, being very respectful to Devahuti, brought her forth, and after bathing her with valuable oils and ointments, they gave her fine, new, spotless cloth to cover her body. Bhushanani parardhyani variyamsi dyumanti cha anam sarva gunopetam panam chaivamrita savam. They then decorated her with very excellent and valuable jewels, which shone brightly. Next, they offered her food containing all good qualities, and a sweet, inebriating drink called asavam. Here in commentary, asavam is an Ayurvedic medical preparation. It is not a liquor. It is especially made from drugs and is meant to improve metabolism for the healthy condition of the body. Atha darshesvam atmanam sragvinam virajambaram virajam krita swastyayanam kanyabir bahumanitam. Then in a mirror she beheld her own reflection. Her body was completely freed from all dirt, and she was adorned with a garland. Dressed in unsullied robes and decorated with auspicious marks of tilak, she was served very respectfully by the maids. Snatam krita shirah snanam sarva bharana bhushitam nishka grivam valainam kujat kanchana nupuram. Her entire body, including her head, was completely bathed, and she was decorated all over with ornaments. She wore a special necklace with a locket. There were bangles on her wrists and tinkling anklets of gold about her ankles. Bangles. Brace. Shronyor adyastaya kanchanya bahuratnaya harena cha maharhena ruchakena cha bhushitam. About her hips she wore a girdle of gold set with numerous jewels, and she was further adorned with a precious pearl necklace and auspicious substances. Here in commentary it means auspicious substances include saffron, kumkum, and sandalwood pulp. Before taking a bath, there are other auspicious substances such as turmeric, that is curcuma, mixed with mustard seed oil, which are smeared all over the body. All kinds of auspicious substances were used to bath Devahuti from top to toe. Sudata Subruva Shlakshna Snigda Pangena Chakshusha Padma Kosha Sprida Nile Alakaischa lasan mukam. Her countenance shone with beautiful teeth and charming eyebrows. Her eyes, distinguished by lovely moist corners, defeated the beauty of lotus buds. Her face was surrounded by dark, curling tresses. Yada sasmara rishabham rishinam daitam patim tatra chaste sahastribir yatraste sa prajapati. When she thought of her great husband, the best of the sages, Kardamuni, who was very dear to her, she, along with all the maidservants, at once appeared where he was. Bhartuh purastat atmanam stri sahasra vritam tada nishamya tat yogagatim samshayam pratyapadyata. She was amazed to find herself surrounded by 1,000 maids in the presence of her husband and to witness his yogic power. Satam krita mala snanam vibrajantim apurvavat atmano bibhratim rupam sambita ruchirastanim vidyadhari sahasrena sevya manam suvasasam jata bhavo vimanam tat arohayat amitra khan. The sage could see that Devahuti had washed herself clean and was shining forth as though no longer his former wife. She had regained her own original beauty as the daughter of a prince. Dressed in excellent robes, her charming breasts duly girded, she was waited upon by 1,000 Gandharva girls. O destroyer of the enemy, his fondness for her grew, and he placed her on the aerial mansion. Tasmin alupta mahima priya yanurakto vidyadhari bhir upachirna vapur vimane. Babraja utkacha kumut ganavan apichas tarabir avrita ivodupatir nabhastah. Though seemingly attached to his beloved consort while served by the Gandharva girls, the sage did not lose his glory, which was mastery over himself. In the aerial mansion, Kardamuni, with his consort, shone as charmingly as the moon in the midst of the stars in the sky, which causes rows of lilies to open in ponds at night. That is seemingly attached, because he already had mastery over himself, but it was for the service of Krishna. Tenashta lokapa vihara kula chalendra dronishu ananga saka maruta sobhagasu siddher nuto dyudhuni pata shiva swanasu reme chiram dhana daval lalana varuthi. In that aerial mansion, he traveled to the pleasure valleys of Mount Meru, which were rendered all the more beautiful by cool, gentle, fragrant breezes that stimulated passion. In these valleys, the treasurer of the gods, Kuvera, surrounded by beautiful women and praised by the Siddhas, generally enjoys pleasure. Kardamuni also, surrounded by the beautiful damsels and his wife, went there and enjoyed for many, many years. Here in commentary, his sex indulgence was praised by many, many Siddhas, beings who have attained perfection, because it was intended to produce good progeny for the good of universal affairs. Vaishramba ke surasane nandane pushpa badra ke manase chaitriya ratyacha sareme ramaya rata. Satisfied by his wife, he enjoyed in that aerial mansion not only on Mount Meru, but in different gardens known as Vaishrambaka, Surasana, Nandana, Pushpabadraka, and Chaitra Ratya, and by the Manasa Sarovar lake. Prajishnuna Vimanena Kama Gena Mahiyasa Vaimanikan Atyasheta Chara Lokan Yatha Nila. He traveled in that way through the various planets as the air passes uncontrolled in every direction. Coursing through the air in that great and splendid aerial mansion, which could fly at his will, he surpassed even the demigods. Kim Dura Padanam Tesham Pungsham Udama Chetasam Yair Ashritas Tirtha Padash Charano Vyasana Tyaya. What is difficult to achieve for determined men who have taken refuge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's lotus feet? His feet are the source of sacred rivers like the Ganges, which put an end to the dangers of mundane life. Yes. He took shelter of feet of Vishnu, they are source of Ganga. And we also hear one has to touch Ganga to be purified. But if one sees a Vaishnava, pure devotee, only by seeing him he becomes purified. Because Krishna is manifested in his heart. Prekshayitva bhuva golam patnyai yavan swasamstaya bahvascharjam mahayogi swashramaya nyavartata. After showing his wife the globe of the universe and its different arrangements, full of many wonders, the great yogi Karda Muni returned to his own hermitage. Vibhajya navadhatmanam manavim suratotsukam ramam niramayan reme varsha pugan muhurtavat. After coming back to his hermitage, he divided himself into 9 personalities just to give pleasure to Devahuti, the daughter of Manu, who was eager for sex life. In that way he enjoyed with her for many, many years, which passed just like a moment. Nine. Here it says the yogi can expand only up to 9 forms, not more than that. But Krishna can expand in unlimited. Yes. No one can compare to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by any conceivable energetic manifestation of power. Tasmin vimana utkrishtam shajjam rati karim shrita na chabudyata tam kalam patya pichena sangata. In that aerial mansion, Devahuti, in the company of her handsome husband, situated on an excellent bed that increased sexual desires, could not realize how much time was passing. Evam yoganubhavena dampatyo ramamanayoh shatam vyatiyu sharada kama lala sayur manak. While the couple who eagerly longed for sexual pleasure were thus enjoying themselves by virtue of mystic powers, 100 autumns passed like a brief span of time. Tasyam adhata retastam bhavayan atmanatmavit noda vidhaya rupam swam sarva sankalpavit vibhu. The powerful Karda Muni was the knower of everyone's heart, and he could grant whatever one desired. Knowing the spiritual soul, he regarded her as half of his body. Dividing himself into 9 forms, he impregnated Devahuti with 9 discharges of semen. In commentary, since Karda Muni could understand that Devahuti wanted many children, at the first chance he begot 9 children at one time. He is described here as Vibhu, the most powerful master. By his yogic power, he could at once produce 9 daughters in the womb of Devahuti. Atah sa sushuve sadyo Devahuti striyah praja sarvas tashcharu sarvangyo lohitot pala gandaya. Immediately afterward, on the same day, Devahuti gave birth to 9 female children, all charming in every limb and fragrant with the scent of red lotus flower. Here in commentary, Devahuti was too sexually excited and therefore she discharged more ova. I don't know what is ova. And 9 daughters were born. It is said in the Smriti Shastra as well as in the Ayurveda that when the discharge of the male is greater, male children are begotten. But when the discharge of the female is greater, female children are begotten. It appears from the circumstances that Devahuti was more sexually excited and therefore she had 9 daughters at once. All the daughters, however, were very beautiful and their bodies were nicely formed. Each resembled a lotus flower and was fragrant like a lotus. Patim sa pravrajishyantam tada laksyoshati bahih smayamana viklavena hridayena viduyata. When she saw her husband about to leave home, She smiled externally, but at heart she was agitated and distressed. Here in commentary, Karda Muni finished his household affairs quickly by his mystic power. The building of the castle in the air, traveling all over the universe with his wife, in the company of beautiful girls, and begetting of children were finished, and now, according to his promise to leave home for his real concern of spiritual realization, after impregnating his wife, he was about to go away. Seeing her husband about to leave, Devahuti was very disturbed, but to satisfy her husband, she was smiling. The example of Karda Muni should be understood very clearly. A person whose main concern is Krishna consciousness, even if he is entrapped in household life, should always be ready to leave household enticement as soon as possible. Likhanti adho mukhi bhumim padanakha manishriya uvacha lalitam vacham niru dyashru kalam shanai. She stood and scratched the ground with her foot, which was radiant with the luster of her gem-like nails. Her head bent down, she spoke in slow yet charming accents, suppressing her tears. Devahuti Ruvach, Sarvam tad Bhagavan Mahyam Upovaha Pratishrutam Athapi me prapannaya abhayam datum arhasi. Shri Devahuti said, "My Lord, you have fulfilled all the promises you gave me, yet because I am your surrendered soul, you should give me fearlessness too." Now the main point starts. Brahman duhi tribis tubhyam vimrigyah patayah sama kaschit syan me vishokaya tvai pavrajite vanam. My dear Brahmana, as far as your daughters are concerned, they will find their own suitable husbands and go away to their respective homes. But who will give me solace after your departure as a sannyasi? Etava talam kalena vyati krantena me prabho indriyartha prasangena parityakta paratmana. Until now, we have simply wasted so much of our time in sense gratification, neglecting to cultivate knowledge of the Supreme Lord, Paratmana, that is, Supreme Lord. Indriyarteshu sajantya prasangas tvai me krita ajanantya param bhavam tatapyastu abhaya me. Not knowing your transcendental situation, I have loved you while remaining attached to the objects of the senses. Nonetheless, let the affinity I have developed for you rid me of all fear. Sangoyah samsriter hetur asatsu vihito dhiya sa eva sadhu shukrito nih sangatvaya kalpate. Association for sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage, but the same type of association performed with a saintly person leads to the path of liberation, even if performed without knowledge. Nehayat karma dharmaya na viragaya kalpate natirtha padasevayai jivan api mrito hisaha. Anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose religious ritualistic performance that do not rise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, must be considered dead, although he is breathing. He's breathing, but he's dead. No meaning of his life if he's not dedicated to Supreme Lord. So karma is for dharma. Dharma is for vairagya. And vairagya is to ultimately accept tirthapada seva, means seva of Supreme Lord. So if this is not one's target, then he is dead, although breathing. Means useless life. Saham bhagavato nunam vanchita maya dridam yatvam vimuktidam prapya na mumuksheya bandhanat. My Lord, surely I have been solidly cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for in spite of having obtained your association, which gives liberation from material bondage, I did not seek such liberation. She's teaching us. So this is the end of this chapter. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow we are having guests here, sannyasis, Srila Tapasi Maharaj, Srila Nishkinchan Maharaj and Bodhayan Maharaj. So there will be no Skype tomorrow and day after tomorrow. Maybe we continue on Friday or Saturday. Depends how the things will go. I will inform in chat whether Friday we continue or Saturday. Then chapter 24 starts. It is very important chapter. Our Gurudev used to explain it everywhere in Western countries, wherever he was going. This was one of the main topics. Devahuti and Kapil Bhagavan Sambat means dialogue. So that we will hear.